Fluent, period. What if the problem is not your memory, but the way you've been using it? Think about this for a second. How many times have you learned a word in English, felt confident about it, and then, just a few days later, it completely disappeared? Not partially, completely. Like it was never there. Now here's the real question. Why does that happen? Is your brain weak? Are you just bad at languages? Or is there something no one explained to you? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you're going to see vocabulary in a completely different way. And once you see this, you can't unsee it. And that might be exactly what you need to finally start remembering English words, without forcing yourself. Because here's the truth most people don't want to admit. You don't forget because you're incapable. You forget because your brain is bored. Yes, bored. Let me show you what I mean. Imagine I give you a random number right now. 739482. Try to remember it. Seriously, look at it again. 739482. Now, close your eyes. Can you still see it clearly? Maybe for a few seconds, but give it a minute and it's gone. Why? Because that number means nothing to you. No story, no emotion, no connection. It's just information. And your brain hates useless information. Now, compare that to something different. Think about a moment in your life that made you feel something strong. Maybe the day you moved to a new city. Maybe a conversation that changed your life. Maybe the first time you felt proud of yourself speaking English, even if it was just one sentence. You didn't try to memorize that moment, but you remember it. Why? Because it had meaning. And this is where everything changes. Because vocabulary works the same way. You don't remember words. You remember experiences with words. Let that sink in. If you've been trying to memorize lists, repeating words again and again, and still forgetting, it's not your fault. You've been training your brain in a way it naturally resists. And the more you push, the more it pushes back. That's why you feel tired. That's why you feel frustrated. That's why sometimes you even start thinking, maybe I'm just not good at this. But that idea, it's wrong. Completely wrong. Your brain is not broken. It's actually doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Filtering. Choosing what is worth keeping and what is not. And right now, most of the words you study feel like that random number. No connection. No life. No reason to stay. But what if you could change that? What if, instead of forcing your brain to remember, you made it want to remember? This is where smart learners do something different. They don't collect words. They build connections. Let me show you how. Instead of learning a word like this, miss equals sentir falta, which your brain will forget in a few days. You turn it into something real. I miss my best friend. Now stop for a second. Picture that friend. Where were you the last time you saw them? What did you talk about? How did you feel? Suddenly, the word miss is not just a translation anymore. It's a feeling. It's an image. It's a memory. And that changes everything. Because your brain doesn't store words like a dictionary. It stores them like a network. Every time you connect a word to something real, you make that network stronger. And strong networks are hard to forget. This is why you can remember lines from movies, even years later. Not because you studied them, but because you felt them. Now here's something even more interesting. Most learners think repetition means doing the same thing many times in a short period. Reading the same list. Repeating the same words. Again and again and again. But that kind of repetition, it doesn't work well. Your brain gets tired. It loses interest. And eventually, it stops paying attention. Real learning happens differently. It happens over time. You see a word today, then you see it again tomorrow, then maybe again in a video next week. Each time, your brain recognizes it faster, understands it deeper, without pressure, without stress. This is called spaced repetition. But forget the name for a moment. Focus on the idea. You don't need to force memory. You need to give your brain multiple chances to meet the same word in different situations. That's how it becomes natural. And here's the part most people ignore. Recognition is not enough. Just because you see a word and understand it doesn't mean it's yours. A word only becomes yours when you use it. Yes, that part is uncomfortable. Because using means making mistakes. And mistakes feel risky. But think about this. Have you ever learned how to ride a bike by just reading about it? Of course not. You had to get on the bike. You had to try. Maybe fall. and try again. Language is the same. You can't wait until you feel ready, because that moment never comes. You become ready by starting, not before. So here's a simple shift that can change everything. Instead of trying to learn 20 words a day, choose 5 and use them. Write one sentence for each. Simple sentences. Nothing complicated. I run every morning. I feel tired today. I miss my family. That's enough. Because now, you're not just seeing the word. You're using it. And usage creates memory. Now, let's go deeper. There's something powerful your brain does that most learners don't use. It prefers images over text. If I say the word run, you might see the word in your mind. But if I say, a man running in the rain, breathing fast, his heart beating strong, now you see a scene. You feel movement, maybe even emotion. Which one do you think your brain will remember longer? Exactly. So next time you learn a word, don't just read it. Visualize it. Turn it into a mini movie in your mind. Add sound. Add feeling. Make it alive. Because alive things stay, and dead information disappears. Now here's something that might surprise you. You don't need more effort. You need a better system. Because the harder you try to force vocabulary, the more exhausted you become. And when you're exhausted, you quit. But when learning feels natural, you continue without even noticing. That's why people who enjoy English improve faster. Not because they study more, but because they stay longer. Consistency beats intensity. Every time. So imagine this instead. You watch a short video you enjoy. You understand most of it. Some words are new, but you don't panic. You don't stop every second. You keep going. You guess meanings. Then later, you check a few words. You write one sentence. You move on. The next day, you see one of those words again, and you recognize it without trying. That feeling? That's real learning. Not forced. Not heavy. Just natural. And if you've made it this far, here's something important. You're already different. Most people give up early, but you're still here, still searching, still trying to improve. So if you want to go further, if you want to stop forgetting, and finally start using English naturally, make sure you subscribe to Fluent, period. Because here, we don't just study English. We understand how to learn it the right way. Now let's go back to something important. There is no moment when you suddenly know a word forever. That moment doesn't exist. What happens is more subtle. You meet a word again and again and again. Each time, it feels more familiar. Until one day, you use it without thinking. And that's when you realize it became part of you. Not because you forced it, but because you lived with it. So stop chasing perfection. Stop trying to memorize everything. Instead, focus on connection. Focus on experience. Focus on usage. Because language is not a list to complete. It's a system to live in. And when you start living in it, everything changes. You stop translating. You stop hesitating. You start expressing, little by little, day by day. And one day, you'll notice something strange. You're speaking, and the words just come. No effort. No stress. No translation. Just flow. And in that moment, you'll understand something very simple. You were never bad at English. You were just using the wrong approach. And now you know better. So the next time you sit down to study vocabulary, don't ask yourself, how can I memorize this? Ask yourself, how can I experience this? Because that one question can change everything. And maybe this time, the words won't disappear anymore.